You think you're free. You tell yourself you don't care what people think. But watch what happens when you speak a truth that others don't like. You hesitate. You measure your words. You scan the room. Not because you've done something wrong, but because you know you're being watched. Not just by gods, but by neighbors, friends, and strangers. By everyone who might disapprove, misunderstand, or punish your difference. Long before cameras, there were eyes in the sky. Long before social media, there were whispers, side eyes, and shame. The question isn't whether you're being watched. The question is whether you still do what's right when no one claps. Across the world's religions, the gaze of the divine was never just about fear. It was about accountability. In Christianity, the eye of Providence watches from above. In Islam, the angels record your every word. In Hinduism, karma follows you not just for this life, but for the next. In Egypt, the feather of Mat weighs your soul. And in Norse myth, Odin gives up an eye so he can see more clearly. But divine sight is not surveillance for its own sake. It's a reminder that what you do in secret still shapes who you are. And yet, it's not only gods who watch. Every society builds its own towers of observation. Not always with guards or weapons, but with expectation, comparison, and fear of rejection. Philosopher Michel Foucault called it the panopticon. You behave not because you are being punished, but because you might be seen. You begin to live for the gaze. You present a version of yourself that is polished, curated, and acceptable. And eventually you start to believe that version is real. But the deepest kind of watching isn't even external. It's the gaze you carry inside, the voice that tells you to shrink, the hesitation that makes you doubt your joy, the internal censor that edits your soul before the world ever does. Psychologists call it internalized surveillance, the process by which you become your own warden. Not because someone is forcing you, but because you've absorbed the fear of being seen for who you really are. This is where the divine and the social collide. You no longer live by your own alignment, but by a script written by others and enforced by your own mind. The Stoics offered another path. They didn't promise freedom from scrutiny, but they taught that you can live with integrity even when watched. Epictetus said that your true nature is revealed when no one is watching. Marcus Aurelius reminded us to act and speak only what is right, not for applause, but for alignment. To the Stoic mind, freedom is not the absence of judgment. It's the refusal to betray your inner compass, even when the world is watching. Not every gaze is a threat. Sometimes it's a mirror. Sometimes being seen is what calls you back to truth. Because the world might judge to control, but the soul watches to awaken. So the next time you feel the pressure to perform, to pretend, to please, pause. Ask yourself, is this fear or is this truth? Am I trying to be accepted or am I trying to be real? Because the gods may be watching. Your neighbors too. But the most important gaze is still your own. And when you can look yourself in the eye and stand tall anyway, you don't need permission. You don't need applause. You are already free.